The money never screamed. It didn't set off alarms. It didn't crash through walls. It just disappeared, quietly, systematically, right in front of everyone. Every year, inside a building most people will never enter, more than $6 trillion flows through the hands of the United States government. A river of wealth, a machine of power. But somewhere in that flow, something started leaking, badly.
We think it could be a $250 to $500 billion, so roughly 10% of the total federal budget.
That's not a rounding error. That's not mismanagement. That's a heist. And not the kind you see in movies. No masks, no guns, no alarms. Just paperwork, loopholes, and silence. For years, something didn't add up. People receiving public assistance, yet driving luxury cars, Mercedes, BMWs. Lifestyle that didn't match the system designed to support the struggling.
If you're receiving public assistance, how do you have a Mercedes? How do you have a BMW? So we will track that down.
And that question wasn't rhetorical. It was a warning, because what looked like isolated cases was actually a pattern. Behind the scenes, a system meant to help the vulnerable had become a playground for exploitation. Money meant for children, for the elderly, for struggling families, was being rerouted, redirected, repackaged into fake businesses, shell companies, and empty storefronts. Entire charities existed only on paper, daycares that never cared for a single child, healthcare services that never treated a single patient. Yet millions were flowing into their accounts, and no one stopped it. Then came the question no one wanted to answer.
Is it fair to say that for the past 4 years we were getting looted from fraudsters?
Then,
That's 100% accurate.
not exaggerated, not political, not theoretical, accurate. For years, the system wasn't just failing. It was open, wide open.
To get money out during COVID, they took down all the guardrails and they never put them back.
Guardrails gone, oversight removed. And once the money started flowing, it didn't stop. Fraudsters adapted fast. They studied the system. They learned its weaknesses. And then, they scaled, keeping their theft just small enough to avoid attention.
They know that if they keep their thievery below $1.5 million, $3 million, that the U.S. attorneys don't have the resources to go after them.
So they didn't steal billions at once. They stole millions, over and over and over again. An ecosystem of fraud, refined, repeated, perfected. And the most dangerous part? The system wasn't connected. Agencies weren't talking. Warnings weren't shared. Data sat in silos, collecting dust instead of stopping crime.
Data was always there. It was just getting the departments and the systems to talk to each other.
Imagine that. The evidence existed, but no one put the pieces together. Even when red flags appeared, they were ignored. At airports, people declared large amounts of cash, over UMAN, required by law. But those declarations, they went into filing cabinets and stayed there.
But the declaration forms just went into a filing cabinet. So
No follow-up, no investigation, no connection to the money flowing out. So the question becomes, how deep does this go? Because when transparency disappears, something replaces it.
there's likely a daisy chain there that where that there's political patronage or political cover-ups.
A chain, not of accidents, but of protection. Silence isn't always ignorance. Sometimes it's strategy. And while the money vanished, so did something else. Trust.
All societies and communities are based on trust. And if you lose trust at the very basic levels, if the citizens don't trust each other, then you can't have a community.
This wasn't just about dollars. It was about belief. Belief that the system works. That help reaches those who need it. That rules apply to everyone. But when fraud becomes invisible, trust becomes optional. Now the government says things are changing. A new task force, a new system, a new mission. Stop the money before it leaves. Track every dollar. Connect every agency. Expose every fraudster. The best way to stop that from happening is to keep it from getting out. Because once it's gone, it's almost impossible to recover. And this time, they're not just watching the streets. They're watching the banks, the dealerships, the financial networks.
We are actually going to the auto dealers, and we're asking to see the financial records for their finance subsidiaries. If you're receiving public assistance, how do you have a Mercedes? How do you have a BMW?
No more hiding in plain sight. But here's the twist. They can't do it alone. Now, they're asking the public to become part of the system. If you see something, say something. Not just a slogan, a strategy, with rewards. Up to 30% of recovered money, turning citizens into watchdogs, turning whispers into evidence. And already, the tide may be turning.
We've gotten more than 700.
So 700 fraudsters are on the watch now.
700, and counting. But the real question isn't whether fraud happened. We already know the answer. The real question is, how many are still out there? How many slipped through? How many are still driving luxury cars? Funded by a system meant to help the powerless? Because if $500 billion can disappear every year, then this wasn't just fraud. This was a system that learned how not to see. We uncover how the fraud actually worked. The fake businesses, the loopholes, and the exact blueprint fraudsters used to steal millions without ever getting caught. It didn't start in Washington. It started in the States. Quiet places, ordinary communities, places like Minnesota. At first glance, nothing looked unusual. Small businesses popping up, daycares opening, home health care services expanding. On paper, it looked like growth, opportunity, recovery. But beneath the surface, something else was happening. Money from federal programs wasn't going directly to people. It was being pushed down to the states. In most cases, the federal government does block grants to states. They dump it down into states. And once it landed there, control got weaker, oversight got thinner. And in places like Minnesota, it almost disappeared entirely. That's where the blueprint began. Not with billion-dollar scams, but with something much smarter. Small operations, localized, easy to hide. Imagine this. You register a daycare, or a home health care business, or a nonprofit feeding program. You fill out the paperwork. You get approved. And then, you start billing the system. The problem? No one was checking if the services were real. It was very easy. The way the money went out the door, no accountability. So fraudsters didn't need to build real businesses. They just needed to build convincing ones. In Minnesota, investigators started noticing something strange. Daycares claiming to serve hundreds of children. In buildings that couldn't hold 20, programs receiving millions. With no physical footprint. Empty storefronts, locked doors, but active bank accounts.
Charity and state support just turned into businesses and LLCs and boxes and empty storefront.
This wasn't random. It was organized, structured, repeatable. And here's where it gets even more calculated. Fraudsters didn't go too big. They stayed in a very specific range. And here's the part that hits hardest. The victims weren't abstract. They were real. Children who were supposed to receive meals, but didn't. Seniors who were supposed to get care, but never saw it. Families waiting for help, while millions were being siphoned away.
Money doesn't go to autistic children like it's supposed to, or it doesn't go to our seniors.
That's the cost. Not just financial, human. And when people try to investigate, they hit walls. Journalists, citizen investigators, even locals who suspected something wasn't right. They needed data, access, transparency, but in many cases, they were denied. The state or the city doesn't want to give it out. And when information is hidden, questions multiply. Why block access? What's being protected? Who benefits from silence?
Well, it says that there's likely a daisy chain there, that where that there's political patronage, or political cover-ups.
A chain, connecting decisions, delays, denials. Not proof of guilt, but enough to raise a deeper concern. Was this just negligence? Or something more? Because when transparency disappears, accountability usually follows. And in Minnesota, it created the perfect storm. Money flowing in, oversight missing, agencies disconnected, information restricted. A system designed to help people became a system that could be used. But now, the spotlight is on. Records are being reopened. Data is being matched. Agencies are starting to talk. And the people who thought they were invisible are starting to show up.
We are in the middle of that.
Not a promise, a process, already in motion, because the blueprint has been exposed. The method is known. The patterns are clear. The only question now is, how far does it go? We uncover how the money was tracked, the new do not pay system, and how data once ignored is now being used to hunt down fraudsters one by one. For years, the system had eyes, but it didn't see. It had data, but it didn't connect. And it had warnings, but no one followed them. That's how the money slipped through. Not because it was invisible, but because it was ignored. Now, that's changing. Inside the Treasury, a new strategy is taking shape. Not louder, not flashier, but far more dangerous to anyone gaming the system. This time, they're not chasing the money after it's gone. They're stopping it before it moves. The best way to stop that from happening is to keep it from getting out. That single idea changes everything, because once stolen money leaves the system, it scatters across accounts, across states, across borders, and recovering it, almost impossible. So instead of chasing shadows, they built something new, a system designed to track everything. They call it the do not pay system. At its core, it does something that should have always existed. It connects the dots. Every payment, every agency, every transaction.
Setting up a do not pay system, which over time will allow us to follow the money.
No more silos. No more isolated databases. No more blind spots. For the first time, agencies are starting to talk. Health services, housing programs, state-level distributions, financial reporting systems, all feeding into one idea. Where is the money actually going? And when you ask that question, patterns start to appear. Unusual payments, duplicate claims, accounts receiving funds from multiple programs, spending that doesn't match the profile. Things that once looked random start to form a map. For the real breakthrough, layer in that map with something even more powerful: bank intelligence.
The Treasury, we could collect something that the banks give us called suspicious activity reports, SARS.
Banks file these reports when something doesn't feel right. Large movements, strange patterns, unexplained wealth. Before, those reports stayed in the banking world, separate, unconnected. Now, they're being overlaid on government payments.
So can we overlay the suspicious activity reports on top of these unusual payments, which we've been able to do in Minneapolis?
That's the shift, because when you combine those two, everything changes. Now you can see who received money, who moved money, and where it went next. The system that once leaked is now tracing, and what it's uncovering is bigger than expected. Take this. Someone receives government assistance, claims to run a small operation. Nothing unusual on the surface. But then, a suspicious activity report flags large transactions, luxury purchases, wire transfers, cash movements. Now, those two worlds collide.
If you're receiving public assistance, how do you have a Mercedes? How do you have a BMW?
That question is no longer rhetorical. Now, it's trackable, and the investigation doesn't stop there, because the focus has expanded beyond individuals, beyond fake businesses. Now, they're looking at the enablers, banks, auto dealers, money transfer businesses.
We are actually going to the auto dealers, and we're asking to see the financial records for their finance subsidiaries.
Because fraud doesn't exist in isolation. It moves through systems. It touches institutions. And those institutions, they have responsibilities.
They are supposed to notify us of suspicious activities, and it's going to be incumbent. We have something here called fence-in.
No more passive reporting. No more ignored signals. This time, every alert matters. And then there's another layer, one that had been overlooked for years. Travel, cash movement, exit points, and places like Minneapolis-St. Paul Airport. People were declaring large sums of money, following the law, but no one asked the next question. Where did that money come from? Now, they are. We are mapping those against people who are receiving benefits, matching declarations, with payments, with accounts, building a timeline. And when you build a timeline, you build a case. What once sat in filing cabinets is now evidence. What once looked disconnected now tells a story. And that story, it doesn't end at state lines. They were trying to take the money out of the country. Disappears. Overseas. That's the part that raises the stakes. Because this isn't just local fraud anymore. This is money leaving the system entirely, vanishing into networks that may never bring it back. And that's why the urgency has changed. This isn't just about waste or mismanagement. It's about control. Control of where money goes, who gets it, and who abuses it. For the first time, the system is starting to see itself clearly. Data that was ignored is now being weaponized. Connections that didn't exist are now automatic. And fraudsters, they're starting to feel it. Because the strategy isn't random, it's layered, calculated, relentless. Track the payment, match the data, follow the movement, expose the pattern, and then close the door.
So now essentially all the departments will be able to work together, because prior they were not, correct?
That one changed. Might be the most important of all, because fraud doesn't survive in connected systems. It survives in silence, in gaps, in miscommunication. And those gaps, they're disappearing. But even with all this technology, all this data, all this coordination, there's still one piece missing: the human element. Because some of the biggest breakthroughs aren't coming from systems. They're coming from people. People who saw something and decided not to ignore it.
See something, say something.
Simple, but powerful. Because now, those voices come with incentives. Up to 30% of recovered money, a reward for exposing fraud, turning everyday citizens into investigators. And it's already working.
We've gotten more than 700.
700 leads. 700 potential cracks in the system. And behind each one, a story waiting to be uncovered. Because now, the system isn't just watching, it's listening. And the people who thought they were safe are starting to realize something. The system they exploited is finally learning how to fight back. We uncover what happens next. The arrests, the fear spreading among fraudsters, and the question no one can ignore. How many people are about to be exposed? Now that the system is finally awake? At first, they didn't believe it. For years, the system had been predictable, slow, disconnected, easy to outmaneuver. If you knew the loopholes, you could live comfortably inside them. But now, something feels different. The calls are being made, records are being pulled, data is being matched, and doors are starting to close. We're in the middle of that. Not planning, not discussing, already happening. Because once the pattern is exposed, the next step is inevitable: enforcement. For years, fraudsters operated with a quiet confidence. They understood the limits of the system. They knew where enforcement slowed down, where cases got ignored, where thresholds protected them. A lot of these sentencing guidelines have been very lax, so the risk felt manageable. The reward? Massive. But now, that equation is changing. Because it's no longer about chasing one big case. It's about connecting hundreds of smaller ones. Building something bigger, stronger, harder to ignore. And once those connections are made, the story changes. Because now, it's no longer one small fraud. It becomes a coordinated operation. And coordinated operations get attention. We can use IRS criminal investigations to put together cases. That means deeper audits, financial trails being reconstructed, years of activity, suddenly under a microscope. And here's where the pressure really builds. It's not just about what you took, it's about what can be proven. Because once the system sees the pattern, it doesn't forget. And neither do the people watching it unfold. Across Minnesota and beyond, a shift is happening. People who once moved quietly are being noticed. Luxury cards now raise questions. Large transfers, trigger alerts, old records are being reopened. Fraudsters shouldn't be driving around in luxury anymore. Not because luxury is illegal, but because now it has to be explained. And explanations leave trails. The same system that once ignored the signs is now built to follow them. And for those who thought they got away with it, there's a new reality setting in. You weren't invisible. You were just early. Because the data never disappeared. The transactions never vanished. The records were always there, waiting. The data was always there. And now, it's finally being used. But here's the part that changes everything. This isn't just about institutions anymore. It's about people, regular people, citizens, observers, whistleblowers.
You need to make a viral video to help your community.
Yep.
You can actually just submit a tip.
Quiet action, real impact. Because the system has opened a new door, a way for anyone to step in.
Make up to 10%, 30% the reward for the money the Treasury recovers.
A reward, not from taxpayers, but from what's taken back, turning information into accountability, turning suspicion into evidence, and turning silence into consequences. Already, the signals are coming in.
Tips have you guys gotten so far?
We've gotten more than 700.
700 starting points, 700 threads, and each one could lead somewhere bigger, because fraud doesn't exist alone. It connects, it spreads, it leaves traces, and now, those traces are being followed, relentlessly. But beyond the numbers, beyond the systems, beyond the investigations, there's something deeper at stake: trust. All societies are based on trust. And if you lose trust, you can't have a community. This was never just about money. It was about belief. Belief that help reaches those who need it. Belief that systems are fair. Belief that people aren't quietly exploiting what was meant to uplift others. And when that belief breaks, everything else follows. But now, there's an opportunity. Imagine if we could save $500 billion. We could pay down debt, cut taxes, make sure the money gets to people who were supposed to have it. That's not just recovery, that's transformation. Because every dollar recovered is a dollar redirected back to the people it was meant for. Children, seniors, families, communities, the ones who were supposed to benefit, but didn't. And that's where the story turns. Because this isn't just about exposing fraud. It's about rebuilding something that was quietly breaking. And here's the truth most people don't realize. This system doesn't fix itself. It changes when people demand it. Every citizen should demand transparency, not later, not when it's convenient. Now, because silence is what allowed it to grow, and attention is what begins to stop it. So here's the question you need to ask yourself. If you saw something that didn't add up, would you ignore it? Or would you be the reason it gets exposed? Because right now, this isn't just a government effort. It's a turning point, a moment where ordinary people can shift something massive. And the next chapter is not being written in offices, or agencies, or behind closed doors. It's being written by people who decide. Enough is enough. This story doesn't end here. It doesn't end with Minnesota, and it definitely doesn't end with 700 tips. Because somewhere, right now, the same pattern could be happening again. Different name, different city, same system. So don't just watch this. Don't just scroll past it. Start paying attention. Look closer. Ask questions. Demand transparency. Because the truth is, systems don't collapse overnight. They erode quietly until someone decides to expose them. And that someone could be you. If you see something that doesn't add up, say something. If something feels off, dig deeper. Because every system built on silence depends on people staying quiet. And the moment people stop staying quiet, everything changes. The real question is, when the next fraud is happening right in front of you, will you see it?